always on time, 10 o'clock, Lisbon. Sorry we missed a week last week, but everybody that's usually, or the majority of the people that are usually involved in the show were remote somewhere, and they were some type of drunk at the time. I don't know where, but everybody was kind of spread out and nobody was going to make the show. So I kind of took the liberty to say we'll pass this week. But yeah, here we are this week, Friday the 13th. Actually, the second Friday the 13th already of 2026. And we have a third coming up at the end of the year, but we'll talk a little bit about that in a little while. First thing we'll do, as I always like to do, is to cheers for Dale. And
not done yet.
Hopefully he's still doing well. And to Patrick, wherever he might be. And also a special hello and congratulations to our buddy Lucas, who
the kid,
who a bunch of us have tried to shepherd him through his college career. And he reported in this past week that he actually got a legit job utilizing the education that he went for in school, which these days is a little bit unusual, but congratulations to him. And he didn't let us down in the end. So there's that. What else? Yeah, it's dreary and chilly again tonight, like it always is. But fire's burning there. I don't know where else the fire, but I have the heat on here as usual. But it's just sooner or later the sun's really going to take hold, and we're going to go from there. So anyway,
it's been a nice day today.
It's been beautiful. Last 2 days have been beautiful.
Yeah. But once that sun goes down, the temperature fucking drops.
Yep.
Yeah,
we've had here in the city, we've had a bit of drizzle this evening. Sort of 6 o'clock onwards, it's just been like light drizzle. Well, I don't know what Eric's like, but up here in Centro, it's light drizzle for the last hour and a half, 2 hours. Yeah, it's been miserable.
Yep. So, but it is what it is. Summer will be here soon, or spring will be here soon, or something will be here soon. Hopefully,
it's pretty springy here, man. Honestly, I was walking around the farm today, and the number of like wildflowers we've got in bloom and stuff like that it's really nice. How about you, Gary? It must be kind of nice around yours as well.
I don't know. I've trimmed it all down.
I've had a good go at doing that, honestly. But as Lee will tell you, there's some work you're going to have to do again a lot if you start.
Yeah.
So it's kind of one of those things where you're judging which bits. So what I've done is anywhere anyone's going to see. So up from the drive all the way along our drive, perfect, looks lovely. Anywhere else, fuck it until later is what I'm.
Yeah, don't look over there.
That's exactly it. Yeah. I think that's
let the wildflowers do their thing, Pete.
Yeah.
Off in the distance.
Well,
you don't have to fucking look.
You're right, man. It's important to leave them because otherwise you're just killing a load of bugs and stuff that are good for your soil and good for kind of building up the stuff. It's amazing they all fucking survive over the summer. I know in like 4 months' time, all of you are going to be moaning about how fucking hot it is. And God, Gary's going to be doing his temperature. I'll tell you what, in the car, it was fucking boiling today. Gary, you're going to be doing your temperature under a magnifying glass out by the pool. And it will be back to normal for the sun. So I don't know. I think I'm glad you can see it coming. It's just nice to have that bright sunshine that you just don't get in the UK. Well, you might get half a day a year, but fucking.
I took a screenshot of the next 10-day weather forecast for Lisbon.
Yeah.
2 days ago. I've used the same screenshot 4 times now to tell people we don't need to turn your irrigation system on yet.
No.
Everyone's phoning me up saying, Lee, it's very dry. Do we need to turn the water on for the grass? Yeah. I'm like, no. Fucking no.
No.
We've got, from Tuesday onwards, we've got 50% chance of rain every day.
Yep.
And then we've got April to come. We've got fucking April to come yet.
I don't know if it's going to. I don't know. Some Aprils, Lee, have been horrible, really wet, disgusting. Last April, we had fuck all rain. Honestly, it's weird.
No, we did. Yeah. Last April, I turned everything on at like the 15th or the 16th. I've got it. It's on my phone. It's saved.
We get the
But-
weather is getting less and less predictable. I think from what the locals tell me, they all say that like we've had
What?
the weather than they usually get. But because you're right, usually it's April's the month of 1,000 rains, isn't it? And usually you're kind of banking. The other thing that we didn't have, which I'm really missed because I love it, is that St. Martin's summer. You know, that late October sun. That was all fucking miserable and grey last year. So well, Portugal owes me some fucking weather, is all I can say. It definitely.
Good luck collecting on that.
5 years ago, Pete. 5 years ago, I know it's 5 years. I said it's on me reminders on the images. I walked from Stubble to Belaine over like 3 days. I got sunburned in
Yeah.
October. Fucking October, end of October, sunburned.
That year it didn't rain here until I reckon probably about July. It was like June, July or something. We had no rain for all over that winter period. It was really weird, really odd. So that was a strange year 5 years ago. Definitely, that was the first year I was there. Oh man!
But
Oh,
I think
John?
I was reading in the paper yesterday, maybe today, that it's official that Portugal got the most rain in February in 45 years. So there you
It's
have
not just February. It's every month
yeah,
in the last 4 or 5 months we've had the highest rain.
yeah.
But the seas are changing and the airflow's changing, and it's just natural. It's going to come and go. It's on a cycle.
Yep.
It happens. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So anyway, we've been away for 2 weeks. So maybe we'll hit some of the high points in everybody's weeks. I don't know what happened Friday after I left last Friday, but I don't know when it ended. I don't know where it ended. But if you want to,
3:40 in the morning for me.
if you don't want to, that's fine too.
Me and Lee went on the stickiest floors in Pink Street hunt. So
There
we
you
did
go.
find some pretty sticky floors. I was quite impressed. with
Peter
it.
gave me the mission of finding the stickiest floors in Pink Street, which I achieved.
I think
Perfect.
Well,
definitely.
you picked the right guy out for that, for sure. So yeah.
That hotel in Santa Apollonia is really nice. The station hotel is really nice. But I
How
only
do you know? You were there for 3 hours.
Well, I knew I was going to be there for 3 hours anyway, so I kind of it's one of those things. It's nice, but it's not as nice as home. So that's the thing in it. Oh man, God,
So far as Portugal is part of the Atlantic Ocean. Yep, I guess that's true.
that is true.
End of the country. Okay, we know who this is. There he is. End of the country.
He's in Zagreb.
Do you want to test your equipment before I kick you off, or? No. Yep, I didn't do that. I did not do that. So yeah. Anyway, let's see. Other than Champions League this week, Pete, anything good going on in your world?
Fuck up. Right, okay, that was terrible. Fucking hell. He lost. He lasted 17 minutes. Gary, have you got any footballing gloves?
Have
You
I
got
got
any-
no, long gun, man. Long gun.
Still reckon-
Gloves.
come out of retirement. We need someone in goal this Sunday. And our goal is a shit, I'll tell you. Anyway, no, that is bad. But yeah, yesterday was awesome. Yesterday was a testament to why Portugal's such a cool place to live, I reckon. So as well as having a fantastic time with Lee on the weekend, I was just telling, unfortunately, poor X got to hear this twice, but we got a 385 kilo, fucking 2.5 meter square hot tub dumped at the end of the track. Gary, you know where my road comes from, yeah? So that got dumped there, and I didn't know what the fuck to do. And I've got two of my English mates came along, tried to tow it, so we dragged it halfway along the track, and then the locals turned up. So the mayor's missus, Chris is pretty loud. The mayor's missus and that.
Not anymore.
Sorry, thanks. The mayor's son and brother turned up, and the brother turned up with the son turned up on a little slight quad bike and took the cover, and then the uncle turned up with a fucking massive John Deere with a baler kind of attachment on the front, and just scooped the hot tub up and put it exactly where I want it. But it's on its side, and I forgot to ask them to put it down. So I'm still going to have to try and work that out. Like 385 kilos down without actually being squished on the floor underneath it. So that'll be a challenge. That should be fun. Hopefully it's not going to be too windy. So yeah, overall, it's been a really good week. That was lovely. It's just so nice to know that.
All right. I can see the headlines. Pete Bleach killed under hot tub accident.
You know, I've had a premonition I might die at I think I dreamed it about 2 weeks before that I was going to be squished by something, and if it had been thanks for that, Di. If it had been like, honestly, if it had been today, I think I probably would have been. I forgot it was Friday the 13th. Isn't there a place, Joel, you know this, there's a place in Portugal that has a party every Friday the 13th. They always have so they must have had like 2 this year. They dress up in kind of all sorts of outfits and just have a big party for any Friday the 13th. I love that about Portugal. You can have a fest for anything. Anyway, Gary's been super quiet, so I want to hear what you've been up to.
Me, I've just been doing normal, same old shit, crawling around on roofs, cutting grass, putting things back together again. That, you know, what you have to do in these situations until somebody wants to turn up and do it properly. So, but I did go out last night. Last night? No, night before with the brother. We went down for a game of pool, and just drank rather a lot, really. And my pool degraded considerably, and I was beaten up 6 frames to 2. There was lots of singing, a lot of shouting, and a bit of throwing up, I think. Not from me, but
oh boy.
It's not a proper night till somebody pukes.
There you go. And Gary, you have a pool table right in your own man cave right there.
No. This is a proper pool table down there.
Yeah, but if somebody's going to get sick, you don't want it in your man cave. So
it's true. That's true.
It's best you go out. Yeah, for sure. So cool. Joe, what's up in your world? We haven't seen you in a while because we weren't around last week, but
yeah, things are moving along. No improvement whatsoever on my mother's health. However, I had to take her to Junta Médica for her evaluation for our medical evaluation in order for medication to be free. So,
okay.
Yeah, that has been settled at least for a year.
Oh, that's good.
Okay.
I was gonna say to you, I keep forgetting to tell you this, Joel. You've got a new neighbour that you don't know about. A certain Mr. Frank Devane lives in Matosinhos, and he was asking about you today. So I'll have to put you two back into contact again. So you got to show him.
If you have my number, you can give it to him, to Frank.
Okay.
Oh, Frank Devane lives in Matosinhos?
He does. Yeah. He does.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I thought he was in Porto. Okay.
And Joel, he loves it. He's been moved all over Portugal, and it definitely suits him. Although I still think he reminds me, Galvo. Do you remember like Harry Enfield and Chums? Do you remember the jazz guy?
Yeah,
that's exactly what he kind of reminds me of at the moment.
Yes.
I think that's the stage in life that he is kind of.
I think he's a restless spirit, isn't he? You never know where he's going to turn up next. But he does seem fairly happy in the Porto district at the moment. So
that's good.
Well, yeah.
So, Joel, if you have any girls that he might be interested in, just send him his way.
I don't even know girls that are interested in me, let alone interested in
I didn't say interested in you. That might be interested in him.
That's what I'm saying. If even I don't have even I don't know girls that are interested in me, let alone Frank.
Okay. I don't think any of us know any girls interested in Frank, so you're not alone. But anyway. So there you go.
I found some wine cheaper than Lee's. Lee's Tipple. This is
Wine's expensive.
197 a bottle. This.
I had a 169 bottle of wine this week.
That's not wine. That's bloody paint stripper.
Oh, they're all good, man. Honestly, I was buying wine for like 110, yeah, to give away to builders and anyone that came to deliver. I'm not my hot tub, right? But anyone else that delivers anything, I always give them a fucking bottle of wine. And I drank some the other day, and it was fucking great. Sometimes, you know, you can get amazing bottles here. In England, Gary's dead right. You get anything under a fiver, and it's usually pretty shit. But here, you know, there is a big
is £2.99. It's a good fucking bottle of wine.
Well, it is. And you had a wine expert telling you it's fucking pretty good. And I agree with him completely. I'm sorry, Gary, what did he say? Which region is the shittest region in the whole of Portugal for wine? Totally agree with me on that one. Douro is crap. Everywhere else is lovely.
It's all down to personal taste, isn't it, really?
If you turn it into port, fucking brilliant. I love it, right? It's fab. But like normal Douro wine, they're trying to be like a Burgundy or something. They're trying to be quite sophisticated. And they're not. I just don't like the Douro region, but I like everywhere else. Absolutely everywhere else. I really enjoy it, and I think there's some brilliant wines all over Portugal.
I can find you a nice Douro. I definitely one you'll like.
Every time I bought them, they're really expensive and they're horrible. Honestly, it's maybe I don't know, but I've drunk a lot of wine, and that's my conclusion.
All right, Chris, did you get your situation worked out there? Can you hear us? Can we hear you? I don't know.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
No.
loud and clear.
Oh,
So
no, we can't, Chris. Log out. Try and log back in again.
I know what it is. When you're using the phone, if you have the volume turned down on the phone before you log into StreamYard, it doesn't matter what you do with the volume afterwards. You can't turn it up. It's flipping totally annoying. You know, so I learned that today. You know, after logging in and out several times before. You know.
Okay. So, where are you now?
Now I'm back at the end of the country. So the house is pretty much finished, but strange kind of thing. You spent a ton of money doing up your house, but you don't want to stay in it. so we're in a hotel. We're at the Memo in Sagres for a couple of nights.
Give people your address, they'll be fucking phoning the police on you.
Why?
Get you arrested.
For what?
Whatever you've done in the last 2 days. Anything.
Oh, God. Mate, I tell you, I've worked harder in the last 3 days than I've worked in a long time. You know, when you've just got tons of...
Is it like a McDonald's rush? Is it got a discount on a pizza or something? Uber's gone wild with Pizza Hut deliveries.
It's all stress, that's all. It's just working on pure stress.
Anything with airlines at the moment. At least you're not in shipping. You could be in fucking tanker insurance. Now that would be really shit, I reckon. I don't know. Some pretty fucking crap jobs to be in, to be honest.
But you know, I know a guy that used to work in buildings insurance, like for offices, but it was for terrorism, insuring against terrorism. And those guys now are flipping writing some serious checks. or they really are. It's unbelievable, you know. But
they've been raking in the money for years and years because a lot of these places never had an issue, but they had to take out insurance just in case. So now it's pay the piper.
Tell me about it. I mean, you know, I think one of the things I look forward to watching most of all in the week, other than being on here, is PMQs. Just for those first 6 questions, it's really interesting to see, you know, when Kemi Badnoch gets her ass handed to her by Keir Starmer. Because let's face it, he ain't that great at the dispatch box, but you know, surely, even though you've got 6,
she's a strong black woman who deserves our support.
Just like Diane Abbott. You love Diane Abbott.
She's a strong black woman who should get the Prime Minister's job at the next opportunity because she's a strong black woman, Chris. I won't hear a word said against.
Do you know what? I will not have anything said against Diane Abbott. At the end of the day, she's helped a lot more people than people who criticise her. And I would say Diane Abbott actually is quite good. Kemi Badnoch now, she doesn't even know who she is. You know,
Strong
Kemi
black
Bad
woman.
Enoch. She's her Kemi Bad Enoch.
She's a strong black woman who deserves our support and should be our next Prime Minister.
Lee, I'm going to.
Lee, have you been taking something again? You're right there.
It's the way you said it. It's the way, but it's. Do you not think though that flipping Nigel Farage went all the way to the States to see Trump, and Trump weren't interested again?
It's not the first time, is it? He's been about. I think he's been about 4 times now. Surely it's going to get a little bit embarrassing. It's not as bad though. I'm not going to let Joel go on about this, but oh god, the first season of this new Star Trek thing's come out, and it is the most woke. Oh my god, honestly, it's the worst thing ever.
I never expected Pete and Star Trek to come up in the same sentence.
Yeah,
I watched it. It's just terrible. It's the worst. They've got a gay Klingon, right, who wears a skirt, all the way through. It's just
Yeah, no. Yeah,
it's just awful, man.
a
Honestly,
gay Klingon that wears a skirt.
yes, they have, who's part of who was given birth by like a thruple or something like that, some sort of a gay
Flying around Uranus.
thing. Yeah, exactly. It is just the worst pile of shit I've ever seen in my life. Honestly, I've never. And it's not even that. It would be if it was like truly awful, which it is. I mean, it's got like lots of feet. The captain sits in the chair and fucking dangles a horrible, ugly feet at you, right? It's just rank, right? The whole thing is foot fetishist, sort of just Hollywood bollocks. Right?
Sorry to interrupt you, Pete. That piece of shit that they call Squall, it's so fucking disgusting that even in the okay, let me give a chance to watch the first episode and see how it goes. So right at the first 10 minutes of the beginning of the show, or the first episode, one of the cadets says, "I swallowed my comm badge." That was enough for me to turn off that show and never want to watch it again.
You did well, Joel, because the rest of it gets worse. I didn't think every episode could get worse, but they manage it.
No, I found more entertaining to watch reviews of the show than the fucking show itself.
Oh, this is quite good. So the first episode, they thought they'd put it on YouTube to see how it did, right? Yeah. It got beaten by a model, a plastic model of Spock on a chair doing nothing.
Yeah.
So the optics, it is unbelievably shit. Honestly, it's just like the worst fucking thing ever. That's a couple
and from the little sketches that I took from people doing reviews of it, the dialogues are poor. The characters don't have any depth to them. There's no sense in science, at least basic science. They don't even follow the lore of Star Trek, even though they are using other characters from Star Trek as references. They don't even know how to fucking do science fiction properly.
Joel, the last episode, they did this thing where they said they'd mined the entire galaxy, right? Yeah. All around like space. Now, they did a mathematical calculation of how long that would take, right? And I think it was like 100 billion light years to do it, right? Which is pretty much how long the last episode felt when I was watching it. It's unbelievable. The time stood still and just elongated every minute. It's just dire.
I cannot believe 2 grown men are talking about what this is.
I was about to say the same thing. I'm
cutting that shit right off right now. And one of Joel's fans steps in tonight. Good night, Joel. So there's one of your fans. There you go. So Lee, it's around to you now before it gets to me, I guess. Anything to report in the last couple of weeks?
I've seen everybody. I've seen Pete, I've seen Ken, I've seen you. I didn't realise it was Friday the 13th today. I was on top of a fucking huge hedge today, using my ladders as some sort of a brace, so I didn't fall through it.
Okay.
Oh, I had a proper dodgy day today. I could have died about 4 times today. I got really lucky.
I'm going to cover that in a little while. That's going to be a topic. So,
what? Me dying on falling through somebody's fucking edge?
Not
Like,
necessarily.
you could have died in a hedge accident. I could have been crossed by a hot tub. Fucking, we all could have died this
We
week.
both could have been, Pete, we both could be sitting here now dead.
I
We
would have
could.
thought Lee.
We
I would
might
have
be
thought
dead
Lee.
Honestly, I
That's-
tell you what, if you watch that Star Trek thing, you'll wish you were. It would be a
I couldn't think of a better ideal way for Lee to go. Lee found dead in a bush.
I was
A
thinking
A hedge, Gary, not a bush, a hedge.
No, a bush. Got to be a bush.
it's got to be
A wild, a wild conifer hedge.
An
It's got-
overgrown bush.
Even though English is a second language to me, I understood the reference of the bush that Gary was mentioning.
A hedge is just a bush that hasn't been
Let's
trimmed.
not talk about Gary and health and safety. After Gary tried to use his electric chainsaw in the fucking rain.
No, I didn't. I was. When it started raining, I went in. It's good though. I tell you what, I'm impressed. I am impressed with that electric
Did you
chainsaw.
get Gary? Which
Did,
electric one? have you got?
did you buy a battery one or a plug-in one?
It's the mains one. It's the mains one.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, man, I like the battery ones. The still battery ones are fucking
No,
unbelievable.
Gary sent me a message. I sent him a bit of a long form message back. The battery ones are really good, but you need a couple of batteries for a day's work.
You do, yeah, that's true.
So if you've only got the batteries, they're great. If you've not already got the batteries, then the plug-in jobs. If you're somewhere close to home, they're grand.
One, you look at the price, think, that's not a bad price. But then you've got to buy the batteries on top as well, which then
And
suddenly
batteries
makes
are really
it a lot more.
expensive. The still batteries and charger are really dear, and that's
Yeah.
where they can hammer you. So you get the machine is still it's still fucking expensive, but the batteries just make it ludicrously expensive. So I
But
understand.
once you've got them, you've got them.
Yeah, and the
So-
other thing is once you've got them, and if you've got another setup to generate some power, you're not going to get whacked by the price of petrol or gas or any of the other shit that's coming along at the moment. Because I was looking at all the stuff I've got is like a minimum 9 kilowatts, right? For all the little extras I'm getting at the moment. And I was just thinking, fucking hell, if I had to pay for all of that off mains, I'd be fucked. You know, it's
When we came over, when me and Carl came over, we came over with 5 or 6 Nikita batteries.
Mm.
So all the electric gear we're buying now is Nikita because we've got the batteries and the chargers. So we've already invested in the hand tools. Now the gardening tools are coming on. And Carl's hedge trimmers, the battery hedge trimmers, are really fucking good.
I'll tell
I
you,
mean,
they're much better than they used to be, and you don't have all that faff of fucking the string breaking or
You cutting it, you running through your own string.
Yeah. just some sort of shit that you do. They are safer, I reckon, than the petrol ones to an extent as well.
They are because when you take your finger off the button, they stop immediately.
Absolutely. Oh man, I had a horrific one. This one, Lee. You know, we were firing those arrows. One of our friends had a crossbow, right? And they had this twatty. I'm sorry, but cloggies can be a bit fucking idiot-y sometimes, right? But especially here, because they all claim to have been in like special forces and they have never seen anything before in their lives, right? So this cloggy picks up their crossbow, goes to shoot, right? Yeah. And Calvo, do you remember Pez? Do you remember the sweet dispensers?
Candy. Yeah.
Yeah, the candy, yeah. So he put his thumb up in front of the the string, and it just chopped the whole thing off, so it was dangling like a Pez. So but yeah, some of these people, bloody hell, you do have
Awesome.
not done it before, but
Yeah, no, that is called natural selection.
Yeah.
There you go.
I
That's
do
a
love.
Darwin Award
Hey,
right
how's
there.
your last 2 weeks been?
Sorry,
What's that?
How's your last 2 weeks been, Eric?
My last 2 weeks been pretty good. Friday was good, even though I bailed on you guys before I guess things got serious last week. I was actually in Porto this week to meet with some of the expat group that I know up there. So I was up there on Wednesday.
Is this Hank? Is Hank? Hank
Yeah, Hank's one of them. Yep, Hank and Connie, and I know probably about 8 people, 8 regulars up there. So that was good. Then yesterday I came back down and promptly met up with Lee and his family for a little pizza dinner last night. That was very enjoyable. Even though his daughter tried to stab me in the head with a beret, So yeah, because she has
That's
hair,
Lee's
right?
training
So-
there, Eric.
So it
That's
goes
Lee's
nice
train.
and easy into her hair, but she's like boom, 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 boom. So yeah, but yeah, that was good. Yeah, I've had a pretty good last couple of weeks. So here's what it is. We carry on. So, but yeah. So anyway, let's get to the first topic of the night, which I'm a little bit prepared for.
Ooh, you
Why?
smoothie.
There you go.
Have you got naked pictures of somebody?
I do not. No,
Oh, right. So we're not that prepared.
I don't have a top 20 list. I don't have any of that. So anyway, that's how you say that word that was just up on the screen. Okay. So that's Fear of Friday the 13th. So I thought it would be apropos just to discuss that. I don't know if anybody suffers from that particular
Are you going to tell us how to say it?
a malady.
Yeah, go on, Eric. You've got to do a proper
You
pronunciation.
got to tell us what it is.
Paraskeva Troyophobia something. So that's it's a Greek term, and it
a load of bollocks.
It has to do with Fear of Friday the 13th.
I'm more interested in the word than I am what it means. To be honest, I still think that it's. I love Greek terms because it helps you
So
understand.
you want to see the whole word first? So there's the whole word.
So para's through. Vid is usually to see or vision of. Tria we know is 3, and phobia obviously is fear. But it's really cool because you just get loads of cross.
But it's not made up. Not made up because Friday the 13th only became a myth when they killed all the
witches.
No, they weren't witches. What was it? The Crusaders, not the Crusaders. What were they?
The Templars.
The Templars.
Knights of the Templar. That is absolutely correct, Gary. Very good.
So
It's tenuous.
They killed the Templars on the 13th, and that's why it's become a thing. And once you realise as an adult that it only goes back a couple of 100 years,
1307 is when that happened.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I'm English. That's a couple of 100 years. That's nothingness.
That is true, Eric. I've taught in buildings older than that, honestly. I think fucking Gary wears a pants.
My parents' doorbell is older than that.
Yeah, probably. That's fine. So I just thought I'd bring it up. It's for some people that's a thing. It's not a thing for me, but I thought I'd go around and Joel, do you have any fear of Friday the 13th? Is that something that gets in your wheelhouse? No. Okay. That's fine. Do you want to talk about any of your fears while we're on that subject?
Oh, I was worried about that hot tub thing. I hate it when I have premonitions and then they, you know, when you've dreamed something, right? And I knew this was going to be a fucking hassle and a possibility because I know they can do curbside delivery.
Those type of dreams that feel almost like deja vus.
Yeah, exactly. That is exactly it. And I think that's what I get more of a fear of. Like when I think I've been here before and it didn't end well. Fuck. Well, it shouldn't have ended well anyway.
Or even, for example, when you're dreaming a dialogue and that fucking dialogue actually comes in reality and the outcome is never what you expect.
Yeah, definitely. You do get, I think your brain, they worked out, it's really interesting that REM sleep is not actually very important at all. But when you deep sleep, your brain is basically refiling itself. So yeah,
this is not a conspiracy theory. This is a loony theory. But probably imagine there are scientists that believe that we have multiverses. So there's other universes where also exists the same Earth with exactly the same population occurring through the same time and space. The only difference is sometimes we are able to cross between minds into other universes, and probably the interactions that we have in our dreams and consequences when we think there is a deja vu in real life is actually the result of what happened to the other doppelganger, if you prefer, on another universe where the result actually happened to him.
So would you find it strange that I would tell you that I don't remember any of my dreams anytime? Is that weird?
That's unusual.
Yeah,
No.
that is quite odd. Have you never, Eric? Have you never ever, even when you were a kid or anything, never had any kind of?
I won't say never ever, but it's now like in recent memory. You know, I go to sleep, I wake up, and you say, "Oh, well, do you have any dreams last night?" Not that I can remember, but you know, whatever. So I don't know what that means, but that's a thing. So
I think
anyway.
it's interesting. I think it's a really interesting subject. To be
I
honest,
mean, I have some vivid dreams, some real fucking like corkers, and I wake up in the morning. It's like, wow, fuck.
I think Gary's better off because you think we waste nearly what most for sleep about 7 hours a day. Yeah, I mean, I'd probably say
I wish.
me a bit less. I'd say probably for me about 5 or 6. Yeah, but that's still a considerable part of your lifespan. If you think of how old we are, that's a good 10, 12 years that you spend fucking not awake, right? So it's kind of nice to be able to remember things a bit more vividly. I sometimes wish I remembered things more vividly, not when I was one side of a waving hot tub going down a fucking track.
And Diane's on the other side pushing it.
Oh no, I had my mate Nick, but we were both very close to being scared. So yeah, any of those.
The
Oh,
weird
man.
thing with me is right that I can, when I go to sleep, it takes me almost seconds to go straight into a dream. Literally, I'll close my eyes, boom, I'm in a dream. Now I don't know whether that's unusual or not, but I can have a whole dream within 10 minutes or so, and like wake up and think, fuck me, now how long have I been asleep for? And I've had a whole dream. I take no time whatsoever. I'll go to sleep and bang, I'm in and away.
Right,
Well, for
Gary,
a guy that doesn't sleep that much, you got to get into it and out of it pretty
Yeah,
quick.
I've got to try and pack it all in there, haven't I? Really?
Yes, right.
have you ever got? I hate, and Joel, actually, you'll have the same with the dog, right? Is just being interrupted when you're having a really good dream or a really good sleep, and being woken up in the middle of it. I find like a real affront, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's a terrible thing. But there's lots of studies to show that, like the dog sleeping with you, Joel. If you think all of us would have been sleeping communally together with a big group of people,
No, this fucker doesn't let me sleep alone.
that's exactly it. But they say dog people sleep better with dogs, but even though you're getting woken up constantly with like shuffles and how much room it can take up on the bed, but you sleep better just because we're used to another breathing kind of being near us. Essentially, it's the way we would naturally sleep. So
I go to bed. I make his bed on the chair that I'm sitting on, and around 6 in the morning is when he decides he wants to come to my bed. So,
Okay.
oh man.
So I'm going to run through a couple of messages here. Wave pushed the boat out this week and brought 2 solar power stations this week. So Simon is getting on the solar grid.
Oh man, that. Have any of you guys ever lifted solar batteries? Fuck me, they are heavy as shit. Honestly, they're the most heavy bloody things I've ever. Just for a small space, you know, when you pick up a block of gold or something, it's like surprisingly heavy. And with those batteries, they're just nuts sometimes. Fucking hell, the amount they can pack it, it's just mental.
He says it could be remembering past lives and memories being reincarnated in your dreams. So experiences that you've already had that now you're reliving in a different form.
That I find really funny. I know this is going to sound awful, but my mum used to edit books. One of my ex-girlfriends was meant to be a past life regression therapist, right? Yeah. And my mum would do the book editing for her before she published stuff, right? And there were always loads of mistakes, like historically completely inaccurate things like happening the whole time. And we all kind of, you take the mick. I think the thing is, if it helps someone, it's fair enough. It's in terms of if they want to believe it, it's fair enough. But I do find some of those quite amusing, to be honest. You know, why hark back to a past when you've got an amazingly short time here now? You might as well make the most out of it. I think it can be a bit odd, definitely. Anyway, What do you
Simon finishes up there. He says smoking patches have made him have some deep, vivid dreams. So
Yeah.
never use smoking patches. I don't know if anybody else has.
Don't stick them on your head. No.
Oh, they make me really ill, man. I can't take them at all. They make me really, really ill. I like that Krusty the Clown sketch in The Simpsons where he's got about 40 on and he's running out
Yeah,
of
there
patches
you go.
to kind of to do it. So I don't know. Oh, so Gary, you've never had to have to worry about that, but there are foods you eat that make you dream more.
Really?
I've not really know of. No, I mean, they say about cheese gives you nightmares, but I've never really found that to be the case. There's nothing really I could put my finger on and say, that caused that.
Yeah.
The weird one is right that me and my brother both had the same dream, and it's a really fucking weird one, right? Is that in your dream, you actually wake up. You it's almost like it's real life, but you wake up and it's nighttime, and suddenly you're aware that the air is very, very thin, and there's not much air. So you're running around trying to find some patch of air somewhere that you can breathe, right? And there it is, right? You can see it floating about, this patch of air, right? So you run up to it, right? Because you're on the edge of your capability now. And you put your head in this patch of air and you go, and sniff it all up, right? And you go, and then suddenly it's gone. And then you're running for the next one. And then you think, I'll open the windows. And you open the windows, right? And you go, and there's nothing there. And right, you're running around the house looking for air, and then it's just like there's another patch of air. Then it's sticky, and you wake up in the morning, you feel absolutely fucked.
I was going to say, I'm glad I don't have this because I'll just go to sleep and I'll be sleeping. I'll wake up in the morning. I'll be okay. Simon also says magic mushrooms might also contribute to that. I don't know.
So Eric, are you a pretty deep sleeper then, or not?
I wouldn't say that I am because I will wake up easily. Like if I hear something that's kind of untoward, I will wake up. And the last couple of weeks, I've woken up a couple of times, and my trouble then is to get back to sleep. And that could be hours. And it's just
I'm in that horrible duvet stage where the duvet's a bit too thick for now, so I get a bit sweaty. And as soon as I pull the duvet off, it's so cold it makes me want to go for a fucking wee. So I've got that conundrum of where the fuck I'm going to get up.
Yeah.
Oh, it's awful. It's a horrible situation. So I'm just still getting up. Summertime. I've been on summertime forever. So I don't know about you, Gary, but I love getting up in the summer for like 5:30, 6, where it's getting a proper day's work done.
I do understand. I mean, that's the best part of the day, really. The air is clean and fresh. It's cool, and there's the sun. It's just beautiful time.
Well, especially by noontime, you'd be sweating your ass off. So you can't
work. You can't work
Excuse me.
Midday out here in the next month. You will not be able to work because it will just be too hot. I mean, at least we'll get the rains, but I'm not so sure if they're going to be quite as bad. I think that a lot of it's got to do with the Gulf Stream, and there are some changes in the Gulf Stream at the moment that we can analyze, which are kind of showing some reasonably interesting weather differences. So they reckon the Gulf Stream's shifting south, so which will make some pretty amazingly big weather changes. So weird that a sea current kind of dictates weather so much, but there you go.
Yeah.
Well, I was watching one of these programs about the dinosaurs and everything, and it just seems that the Earth every now and then says, "Oh, fuck this, we're going to start again," and wipes everything out and puts all the pieces back together, and away it goes. So maybe we just head into one of those events at the end of the day when just.
Well, if you look at the dinosaurs, their lifespan, the time that they were on Earth, were so infinitesimal. I think they said the dinosaurs would be, if you were looking at a clock of the Earth, the dinosaurs would have been at, say the whole clock is up to midday today, right? Yeah. The dinosaurs appeared at 12:57, right? And we appeared at 12:59 and 54 seconds or something.
Yes, nothing is it.
It's like we've been around for fucking no time at all. So a few tiny little incidents probably aren't. We haven't really had anything pretty. We've been pretty lucky with our lifetime in terms of nothing absolutely colossal. So I don't know, but yeah, overall it's been pretty good. So, but the rocks that we've got here and around you, Gary, are from the death of the dinosaurs. So a lot of the rocks they reckon are from that crater that was created when the meteor struck that fucking basically killed off the dinosaurs. So it's really interesting. If you look at the granite structures and stuff here, they're South American essentially. So you're living in a place with South American rocks all over it, which is pretty fucking strange. I don't know.
But just to sort of follow up, not exactly on that, but my trip up to Porto and back this week, I really got to see what some of what the devastation was really like going up that way, because traveling up the A1, we got up to like Leira and Pombal, and the trees were just like all the way over or snapped off, and every billboard was leveled, and it was just like, wow, so I'd heard about it, seen it on TV, in the papers and reports and stuff, but you could see it was almost like different pockets where it went through. It's like this area, everything could be fine, and then several 100 yards down the field, it was like something went through there, really serious. So yeah.
I'm convinced it spawned some twisters. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, you could kind of tell that it was, I don't want to say it was isolated, but different areas it was isolated because there was other untouched areas in between.
Well, I went to Tamar, and where the sports stadium is, they got the big lighting towers. The three of them, right, and one of them is just bent fucking over on itself. And this is not flimsy construction. We're talking about steel so big, and it's just fucking bent over like something sat on it.
Yep.
But the rest of the three are just okay. So it's just weird. Just weird.
Yeah.
It's totally localized, isn't it? And that it is really strange. Portugal's so odd like that in terms of like say today I'm baking, the car's fucking really boiling, had to put the aircon on full just to kind of cool down, and I'm looking in the distance and there's snow on top of the Estrella, obviously. Fucking, you're just thinking this is a weird country. It really is strange. And it is true that cold country with the hot sun, the sun can just make you always have to bring fucking like 20 layers. Do you know what I mean? Just to be sure that you're not going to freeze or boil on any occasion. So, but it's lovely. It's very cool.
Let's see if anybody else popped in. No. Okay. I'll get a couple of more.
So, Eric, you didn't answer the Friday the 13th thing. Is it any relevance to you? Do you have any feelings about it? Or
No, I just thought it was topical, just being the day, and I kind of looked into it, and I was like, oh, there's a couple of words that relate to it, and inevitably, if you get involved with a group of people, there'll be one person that'll be like, yeah, that's me, and I won't do this, I won't go there, I won't see this person, Obviously, we're all of clear minds, so we don't fall into any of that kind of thing.
I think the Templar thing, I mean, you're the history man here, Pete. That wasn't necessarily completely accurate, was it, Pete?
Well, it's like anything in history, unfortunately enough. There's always a few different stories and tales. So it's kind of I think the thing is it probably wouldn't be on our tongues today if it wasn't for like movies and for popular culture. So it's kind of one of those things where what I love is there's just loads of kind of traditions and stuff. Today I was making Welsh rarebit, and there's a Welsh rarebit day, which is my birthday. Fucking fab, right? But there are kind of days and celebrations for everything. What I love about Portugal is that they'll usually have some sort of festa for any excuse at all that they can do. There'll usually be a party for something or other. So it is good, definitely. It's really cool. Joel, how are you doing there? You looking all right? You honestly, Joe,
I had to handle something that I found in the dog, so it's been taken care of.
What did you find? Wait, what? Okay. So a CME or micronova from the sun would roast half the Earth, would be raining diamonds. All right, so there's Simon checking in. He's got some stuff.
That was the other thing as well, wasn't it? When we had all that strange weather, didn't we have a massive outburst from the sun as well? One of the biggest solar flares ever recorded. I just wonder if that had something to do with the weather. Could it affect the weather like that? Possibly. I suppose it could. It affects radio signals and everything, doesn't it? So
Yeah. So Garvo's showing off his animal as well. His
I'm
pet.
playing with my pussy.
There you are. It could do with the trim.
Yeah. It's a bit manky. It's got a bit of a dodgy eye, but no tail, but it's all right.
Oh,
Yeah.
So Gary, it's not like the birds still at your place, is it? You're not doing the feeding frenzy every evening, are you?
No, actually, there's been a distinct reduction in the amount of feral cats. But isn't there a law around that says you're not allowed to feed them anymore, so I can't do that. So
There's a cafe.
Do you think that the weather, events that took place up there in the last couple of months had something to do with that, or maybe
It's
not?
possible. I mean, I know a lot of people who have lost animals in the storm. They've lost livestock and birds and stuff. So it is possible, I suppose. I mean, they have to live out in the open, so it's probably going to be just as dramatic on them as anything.
And maybe if they're kind of running from things, right? If
Well,
stuff's coming down around, they just keep going. So
The other thing in cities, Eric, is that, so for example, one of our cafes, it's quite unfortunate, one of the cafes in the village is right next to the storm drains, right? And the cats use the storm drains as a highway when just so they can avoid kind of being run over by the odd car that occasionally goes down the road here, right? They use those, but fuck me, it really smells, because obviously when we had all that flooding, a few of them died down there. So you had rotting cat and cat piss at the same time. Is not a winning combination, honestly. It's really it's quite unpleasant. So it's all right now, but my God, it was awful before. Oh.
So Boris asked, do you all have any pets? I do not. Obviously, Gary does. Joel does. I don't think Pete does.
No, definitely not.
And kudos out to the cat, Gary. There you go.
She's a
Bond
cute
now, Gary.
What's that?
You can be a Bond villain now. You've got to stroke the cat and leave away.
Oh, Mr. Bond. I mean, no, she was a feral cat. She was a bin cat. And she turned up on my doorstep one day. I mean, she's blind in one eye. She's got no tail because it was bitten off by a dog. And it was she was soaking wet. And she just help me. Me being the softy that I am. What a lovely cat. I mean, she's really, really nice. She's nice temperament. She's clean. Very clean. Just a nice cat, really. I don't think I could have bought a nicer cat. She's probably giving a secret to him,
Gary, if she was the same size as you, she'd eat you, honestly. One thing you know about a cat is that it would never really give a crap about you at all. And you've got more brain cells in your stomach than that cat has. Yep. But they're nice. It's just their bums trouble me quite a bit. I think I've probably had too many terrible experiences with pencil sharpeners at primary school or something.
You'd never have a tea towel holder, would you? Either.
See, Gary, that's the cat's world. You're just living in it.
That's it.
So as long as you're aware of that and you're okay, then it's all good.
Well, the thing with the cats, I mean, I love dogs. I'm a dog person, always have been. But with cats, they're so independent. They don't have to look after them. They'll go off and do their own thing, or just leave them a bowl of food. They'll be fine. With a dog, you got to let him out and take him for a walk and all this, that, and the other. So cats do have their pluses. But,
Very important in Egyptian culture. There's loads and loads of there's even cat temples and stuff like that. Very interesting.
The spirits of the dead and all that.
Yeah, well, cat mummies. They used to mummify all their cats as well. I'm in favour of that. I don't mind mummifying a cat, but I had loads of other kind of. I had loads of cats when I was in London, and they didn't do well. There were varying degrees. I remember picking one up from. We left it in a cattery, and they froze the fucker, right? So it died of some sort of liver complaint or something in the cattery. We picked it up in the freezer, buried it, and obviously not far enough. So the next morning, I saw the fox with a cat.
Oh boy,
that was grim, yeah. Definitely. God, dear. Anyway, I made sure the kids didn't see that one. Oh,
Well, we do have quite a few people that are out there watching, believe it or not. So
Wow.
I'll throw the banner up there, and anybody's willing to join, and it's all fair game after that. So hop on if you're so inclined. Nobody bites here, so yeah. Anyway,
Well, might have a bit of a chew, but no biting.
yeah, right. Nah.
right.
Yeah. So,
Oh.
trying to see where this is. Nope. So,
So-
Joe, what else is going on
Sorry.
in your world? Come on, give us something. Nothing. So based on the last Star Trek episode, are you going to just destroy all your little starships and all that stuff?
No, I will not destroy all of my little starships, because all of my little starships are previous from this shit show that is called Star Trek since 2010.
Okay. So this doesn't carry on now. The past is the
Yeah,
past.
one thing is for sure, I will not be buying any starships from current reprisal of Star Trek. That is for sure.
Oh, mate.
I have,
honestly,
I have some, but
Eric, they used to have like skin tight uniforms. They used to have like, you had regular characters. Vulcans were logical. Klingons were meant to be aggressive. You've got a fucking Klingon in a dress. Everyone's talking about their shitty feelings.
yeah, wait, you're forgetting one thing. That
All that
Klingon in the dress has 2 penises and 4 balls, and he's gay, and he was risen by one mother and 2 fathers in an apparent 3-way relationship when he was a kid. And besides everything that Klingon stands for, which is always be proud of being a Klingon on everything that they do, independently if they are a warrior or not. They have to be the best at doing what they are. And you have this fucking piece of shit going through Starfleet Academy being a pussy instead of actually being what a Klingon's supposed to be. That
Wow.
makes a lot of fucking sense 1,000 years in the future.
Who do you think? I mean, obviously, when Gene Roddenberry thought about these different races, who are the Klingons based on? Because I've always been, they're a bit samurai warrior, aren't they?
The Klingons are based on the Klingons. Yeah, that's a good question. I remember back then when
Romulans are definitely Russian, right?
Definitely Russians.
the Romulans are Russians and Klingons were supposed to be what?
I just think they're samurai. They're somewhere along the line. They're very
Well, they
samurai.
were supposed to be the Japanese. Yeah.
Yeah, well, now they are definitely the worst. You can't see a Klingon in an A-line skirt flouncing about. Everyone's fucking gay.
It's not like, for example, on The Next Generation, which was the TV show from the 90s, where you actually seen men in uniform wearing female uniform dresses. But that only occurred during one season and only on 3 episodes. After that, because the dress that the men were using was so uncomfortable to them, they start wearing pants again. So even though it is canon on Star Trek, that little bit of history of being able to use female dresses as uniforms was ditched. But it is canon. But what that doesn't make any sense to me is why a Klingon male, even the Klingon females, never wore dresses. They always wear pants. The only difference was the top jacket they wore that looked like a dress, but that had that folding. But it's still even the Klingon females were always wearing pants. There's no dresses for them.
But then, Joel, William Shatner famously got the role because he was bisexual, right? So he slept with some of the producers that made the show, and there was a lot of the sort of stuff going on. Now, the fact is that this Kurtzman trek, this stuff that's fucking been there since, as you said,
The Kurtzman track is a deviation from what it was supposed to be, what it was.
Yeah, they
Jar
think
Jar
they're-
Abrams' Star
they think they're
Trek.
doing something new, but they're not. They're doing something just badly, and it's so
No,
bad.
the-
Oh, it's
the-
so boring. God.
The thing they are saying, what Alex Kurtzman said on an interview, actually it was this week on a award, on a Galaxy Award, I think. He said that the Star Trek was about today's events, when in reality it was a show made in the future, compelling humanity coming up together and overpowering the differences they have between themselves in order to become better, and all the nuances of conflictions that we have now between wars and possessions of raw materials and everything else, that would be in the future would be diminished, or it wouldn't make any importance, and the only good thing was the self-realization of doing what is best for us, or improving ourselves to the best of our capacity, disregarding materials and everything else.
Back
why?
then, they had views that were really obvious. So you had a Russian point of view, as you said, right, Gary, with the Romulans. You had a token Russian on the crew, didn't you, with Chekhov? Yeah.
On the original series, you had multiracial cultures on the Star Trek. You had the first female. You had one of the first female leads, black female leads. You had a Russian on the crew. You had a Japanese on the crew. You had a Scottish, fake Scottish. He was Canadian actually, but you also had a Scottish. You had a diverse cast on the crew on the original series.
You had set parts of human personality that you were looking at it from. So purely logical, purely emotional. You had like different races.
Yeah, and the thing about Star Trek, that has been lost in the last 10 years is it would challenge us, those that watch the show, independently of choosing which side is right or wrong. The show would show both.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of the points of view, and you would pick either one side or the other. But at the end, you would agree to disagree with others that opposed your views on that episode. And you wouldn't see the kind of shit that we have now, where you have basically the 99% of the cast on this show is either gay, lesbian, LGBT, doesn't know what kind of sex he has, is a fucking android, is a fucking hologram that has fear of water for some reason.
She's got the biggest.
Joel, everybody's welcome on this show, okay?
But why? Why do we?
And hold on. Nubianet haven't been bombed yet. She's still in California. We haven't seen you in a while. Hope all is well in your world, Nubianet. Thank you. And we have just 4 pets at the moment: a 12-year-old cat, a tamed rock dove, and 2
horses.
Horses.
They're horses, I think. So.
And before we get back to what you guys were talking about, I was remiss in not toasting the new president of the republic.
Ugh, fuck off.
Joel,
come on, Joel.
No offense, Eric, but
hey, Joel, he's a local lad. He's from Panama, Vegas. He's not
none
far
taken, Joel. Don't worry. So,
he should be.
Can it be any better or worse than what was there already?
Here's a prediction. It will be exactly the same shit show that was the last president.
Okay, so there you go.
Consistency is great, Joel. Honestly, it's
Yeah.
better than
So,
That's good.
Yeah.
I wanted to put just a point out there, right? Why are we so hung up about what people wear, right? If somebody's wearing a bloke wearing a skirt or whatever, right? Yeah, and I get it because I'm in that mindset. I'm of that age bracket. But if you're talking about warriors in history, probably more warriors wore skirts or dresses than combat
No,
gear.
I don't have anything against the fact that he's wearing a skirt. It is the fact that the character itself is weak. It doesn't represent the race that it's supposed to be.
Well, you think about Spartans. Yeah, Spartans had a little.
Sorry, so Klingons are supposed to be a clan warrior clan based.
Yes.
Right. Pure and simple. Everything they do, we are Klingons. We have to do our best. We are the best and everything else.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. Scottish.
That is the mentality of each. That is the mentality of every single Klingon there is. Romulans have those things. Have that mentality of always being mischievous. You never have double intentions. You never know what to expect from them, if they are being truthful or not, because they can play a little bit. Can always what their good intentions have always a double meaning, or probably always in favor of them. You can post basically, if you don't know, Cardassians also appear on TNG, and they also have the same references as the Romulans. However, they are more floral on their attempts of manipulation or of power and everything else. So there will always be races.
You're comparing them to Star Trek characters?
I'm going to Star Trek races, not specific characters.
Oh, Eric, he's not thinking of Kim or any of the rest of the family. I think he's talking about a specific character on Deep Space Nine, I think it is.
Oh, okay.
No, the Deep Space Nine where that was when they were more developed on the Cardassians, for example. But they also share both Cardassians and Romulans share.
I'm just thinking, Deep Space Nine is where it kind of started to turn, because you had what was her name? The Trill woman, and she was a man, but that like what was it called? The woman's name, the Trill in Deep Space Nine. I can't remember her name. She used to be a bloke, but then
and that was ripped off from Stargate, wasn't it? It was a parasite.
Jadia Vax is
she was a bloke in a
no. She the thing with that so they are. Oh fuck! I forgot what race they are. Shit.
The Trills.
Yeah. The thing with Trills is the host carries a symbiont within them, and that symbiont goes through various generations of carriers throughout their lives. So they always retain the memories of the previous host when they go to a new host.
That's where it started, because you had a woman who used to be a man.
No, that's where you're wrong. No, that's where you're wrong.
I am so out of my element right now.
I don't know. I think maybe we leave Star Trek for a little bit. Maybe I think.
I want to go back. Can I go back to one of the comment that Nubian initially made that I kind of glossed over? She says she has been bombed yet in California. Has not.
It's one of the few places that hasn't, by the looks of it.
No, because there's a report out there that, and we're going to get a little. I don't want to say it's not political, but we're going to get a little into the weeds that Iran is floating a ship out in the Pacific somewhere that is capable of firing drones into California. So, assuming, let's just assume that's true. Okay. What do you think would happen if they did go ahead and started firing drones into California? Let's.
Well, what more can you do? I mean, you're bombing the shit out of them, but what more can the Americans do?
Oh, they did some pretty bad things though, Gary. Did you hear about that naval exercise in Sri Lanka?
Well, it was the opportunism, innit? It was a navy ship.
They were all on an exercise.
Well, the thing is,
Loaded the torpedoes up and shot them in harbour and fucking killed a whole load of them. I think there's like 90.
War's a dirty business. War's a dirty business.
That is horrible.
if there's a military power that is capable of self-defending, is the United States of America themselves.
Yeah.
They have the capability of knocking that shit down. It's not like they didn't learn the lesson from World War II, where they have a Japanese submarines at their coasts.
Well,
Right.
that was a good point. What, as an American point of view, what do you think would happen if that occurred?
I think if the United States military is working their asses off and not sleeping on the job, they probably are aware there is a ship somewhere along the Pacific Ocean that can do that, and they have ready status or yellow alert, if you prefer, in order to detect, with which basically, let's be frank, United States of America has a lot of satellites working for the military, surveilling everyone and everything, so they know where the fucking ship is.
Yeah.
They told them they've taken out all the bombs, have they? Let's be honest, right? So when they first did their raid, what was that? Back last October, wasn't it? When they did the first raid, and Trump said, "Oh, I've taken out all of the nuclear capacity and all of the bombs." They obviously didn't, and they're still not going to. And unfortunately enough, I mean, I've got a really good mate who's Israeli. You've met like Jamie and Karen, haven't you, Garvo? So I was having a big chat with her about it. And the problem is there isn't particularly an end game. It's not going to make anti-Semitism reduce in the Middle East because they're bombing the shit out of everyone. And you tend to get radicalized if your entire family's kind of blown up or a school or somewhere else is. And and frankly, they've taken on someone without thinking about any of the repercussions. Is all you need is enough disruption for the ships not to be insured to stop all traffic from going through the Straits of Hormuz. So that's not a lot. You don't need a great deal. You don't need to hit every tanker that comes through. All you need to do is hit enough tankers for the insurance agencies to say, no, we're not insuring the fucking boat again. And you've cut off 20% of the world's oil flow, which is going to have massive effects on everyone, because it's not just oil flow. It's helium that runs scanners that we all depend on for our health nowadays. It's all sorts of products that are coming up, natural gas.
Yeah, they hit a couple of container ships last night or the night before or whatever. So there's all sorts of good.
The one thing that we are not considering is this: Europe is very demilitarized, cannot protect itself. To be honest, we cannot rely on the French or the English with their nukes to be a deterrent from a possible attack from the Russians.
Joel, Portugal, no one's going to waste a bomb on Portugal, which I love. I love being here. We're not
the thing is, we are not like the Ukraine. If they decided to invade Portugal, which is a little bit not difficult to do.
No, it's not going to happen, Joel.
To invade Portugal, Joel, if they attack after 9 p.m., everyone's pissed. There's no one on the borders. No one's going to fucking be manning anything. We had
no borders.
a hurricane.
You can pick up a car. You can cross to Spain. You don't have any police officers on the border.
You're in the safest country in the EU right now. So
We
as
are.
far as all that goes,
Yeah, I think
I'm not
honestly.
But Eric, I want to come back to you as an American. What's your take on this? I mean, where's it going? How's it going to play out? If that did happen, what would be the response? Because from where I'm standing, they're doing as much as they can to cripple the Iranians as it is. So what more could you do?
well, it could become devastating, really, and it's the reaction could be. I'm trying to classify the right term. Could be severe. Like somebody finally brings a war to the American shores. That's like it brings things to a whole nother level, right? Like we had it in World War II in Hawaii, but yet when you think about it, we haven't had it brought right to the
Well,
country.
9/11, you did.
Yeah,
have,
no, and agreed. And I was going to get to that, but you know what I'm saying? It's like I don't know. It to me, if the Straits is the thing right now, that is the what do you say? If somehow we control the Strait, then this is all over, right? But I'm not sure how to go ahead and do that. Seemingly, the Iranian forces have been depleted. Depending on what you want to listen to, 90%, 95%. They're not doing this, they're not doing that. So if we're down to that level, we should control the Strait by now, right? Whoever's participating with the states, we got that. So
I don't think that's true though, Eric, because ultimately the straits are very narrow. Yeah.
21 miles. Yeah.
All you need to do is hit it from anywhere in Iran, which is not difficult. It's not the hardest one to do. Most of the launchers, not only does Iran produce loads of drones that it's been supplying Russia with for the Ukraine war, but most of its rockets are mobile launch. They're all launched off trucks. They have more rockets by far than the Americans, the Kuwaitis, all of the Middle East. Okay, and the Americans knew this. They knew them saying they've knocked out 80% is the same as saying that 80% of Iranians want a revolt. There's no way of proving that at all. I can tell you how many people live in Iran. I can tell you how many missiles.
No. And that's why I stated if you want to believe it's 90, it's 95, it's this, it's that.
It definitely isn't, is it? And I think
no way to put a number on that. But
this was known about before. But the problem is if you're using a war like that, well, I'm not going to say it myself, but the Spanish Prime Minister said if you're using a war to kind of deflect from domestic policy, the issue is that he knew that it was impossible to control the Strait for anyone else to kind of control the Straits apart from Iran. It's a very narrow channel. It's only something like 4 or 5 kilometers wide in terms of navigable.
It's 21 miles across, and it's deepest.
But there's bits that you'll bank any tanker on if you don't go. It's split into 2 lanes. It's not a difficult. It's not a difficult for the Iranians to control it because of the way it bends basically into Iranian territory, right? So it's not something we didn't know was possible. And once the petrol prices go up, price of goods go up, and that people aren't insured in the USA. How do you think Trump supporters are going to react? The promise was we wouldn't start another war. Prices will go down.
It's already mixed to begin with. You know what I mean? That there's kind of there's a divide there. But I think as things get more, what do I say? More heated, more drastic. I think you're going to see more drastic measures taken because you have an idea of the person that you're dealing with, right? And so all the stops will get pulled out, and
we'll see what does that mean now? I don't understand. What does that mean? What more can you do? When you do
which part?
If you need to, advance the war more and get more power, how do you do that other than what you're doing now?
Oh, just bring more intense firepower than what's already been employed.
Now you're doing the American overpowering fire, this, that, and the other, right? And we're going like, it did that in Vietnam. It didn't work. It just didn't fucking work. Here, it's going to be the same thing because, it's the rabbit in the hole job. It's there. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, you've got to have something else. Just dropping bombs on stuff and finding targets it works to a certain degree, but it doesn't kind of cover the whole lot. You can't really do much more.
It hasn't affected regime change because it's exactly the same fucking regime.
No. I don't think that's ever going to happen.
So. It is a nasty. To be fair, it is a nasty regime. I've got to agree with everybody.
Yeah, but I don't think there's anybody there that is capable of taking over that. So,
but then I think it's not just that. if you look at Iraq, and I mean, God, I could go back to Poland, right? If you look at history, right, what's always happened is in Warsaw, for example, the Russians encouraged a massive revolt against the Nazis and watched them get slaughtered, right? To an extent, what happened like 2 months ago was there was a massive revolt that Trump said he was going to support. They got slaughtered, okay? So those people that would have come out possibly to challenge the regime are definitely not going to do it now because they're fucking running for their lives most of the time anyway. Most of them are trying to get out. I just think it's very badly thought out. I'm bloody glad that Starmer at least had the balls to say, no, the UK is not going to be fully involved in the attack, unlike Blair did back with Iraq. And I personally think it is a disaster. I think what's going to happen is all of us are going to feel it. We're going to, what was it? The petrol prices went up 23 cents on Monday last week.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Once oil goes up, $100 a barrel, then you're going to pay for it, right?
Yeah, it's not just that. There are loads of specialist things like natural gas, for example. Spain, our area, Gary, they're very dependent on gas canisters, aren't they? Yeah. But
natural gas is not getting through the strait either. Right?
Yeah. And the fact is, Qatar produces 90%. They've got one place that produces 90% of the world's gas, right? In terms of and it can't be transported any other way than by ship because it's under pressure. It can't go through pipes. So you've got massive knock-ons that are going to start affecting people, despite how much oil they just released from reserves. It's going to have a big effect on people. And I think the people it's going to affect the most are always going to be the poorest. So it's going to be, I hate to say it, but the least educated and poorest people are Trump supporters. They're MAGA supporters. They're your bedrock of support in the USA. So it kind of that demographic are going to be the one that hit hardest. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens in general, I think. But for all of us, it's terrible news. The fact is that everything is going to be more expensive. Despite me being able to pro about not having to pay any petrol, there's loads of things that are going to just suddenly become a lot more expensive than they were for no reason other than a war that I can't see succeeding for exactly the same reasons that Gary said. You're not going to change the regime. You are never going to get all the missiles. And that regime has been planning for this for the last 30 years. So the fact that you're going to say, oh, well, we'll increase firepower, with what? You're hitting them with everything you can. And their missiles are 30 grand to produce. Yours, on the whole, are about $1 million to produce. What's going to happen? Yeah, it's not like
I'll just say you saw what happened in Japan, right? And I'll just leave that like that.
Well, that is a very good point. That is a very good point because let me just come back to something, right?
If it comes to that, it could come to that.
A counterbalancing point, right, is we know now that the amount of drones and ballistic missiles that Iran have got, and they've been building this up. And you ask yourself, well, why? Why have they built that stockpile? What were they going to do with them? And sooner or later, this was going to happen, whether we're going to keep lobbing them at Israel or whoever, right? So something has got to be done with that at the end of the day. So as a counterbalancing point, I understand that, there was a situation there that had to be dealt with. But then you come to the Americans, and as Americans tend to do, they hit everything with like big weapons and stuff. But what you're insinuating here is there might be an escalation to even bigger weapons.
Oh, they could be.
You're not hitting the people you want to hit. You're just going to hit, as they did in Japan, the innocent, the civilians, right? And this is why we've got to be just as, I'm sorry, mate, but we've got to be just as fearful of America as a lot of other countries, because you are the only country that ever used nuclear weapons in open warfare. And unfortunately, it was on a civilian population. And nobody ever wants to say that. Nobody ever wants to say that.
So let me ask another question. Do you think that the timing of the U.S. getting involved was affected by Israel?
Oh, yes.
And Epstein, I think both. I think the fact is, but Netanyahu has been accused of killing underage girls and burying them at the bottom of Trump's golf course, right? In some of the papers that we've seen, we've also got evidence, a lot of evidence on Trump, a lot more evidence. Do you see those pictures of Mandelson and Epstein and Andrew that have just been released as well? So there's more stuff coming out the whole time. it's great. Look over here, don't look here. So those are the sort of tactics.
That's always the way it is. It's
But I
like
think
the shell game's all over the place. So
Yeah,
don't look
yeah.
over there, look over here. But that's tradition. So,
But the thing is that Trump's reputation with the military after some of the comments he's made isn't great, and I don't think the US military particularly appreciate the way they're being used at the moment. So I don't know. I mean, I think there may well be some kickback from other people, and if Biden had behaved like this in the way that he did, that Trump's behaving now, they'd have had him committed. Do you know what I mean? It is pretty.
he should have been committed anyway, but that's beside the point. No,
Yeah.
honestly, it's no joke.
Yeah.
Let's see. They killed the bloke who didn't want to make a nuclear bomb. His son's entirely different. I'm not sure who he's referring to.
But his son's just lost his whole family, though. That's the thing in a bomb strike. It's not going to make you the most conducive to kind of peace negotiations. Yeah.
So 82nd will be hitting the beaches backed up by the Marines. Well, more Marines are being put in the region as of today. So,
but you don't want boots on the ground there. You're going to get
no,
slaughtered.
you don't. No, you don't. And that's the most.
But there's a really interesting factor here as well, which is that Qatar and quite a few of the other countries pay for the American military bases to be there, right? Now it's turned out that they're paying for targets to be a target for Iran. Yeah.
Ultimately.
Which they're not going to fucking do anymore. And it was going to be the same with America is incredibly dependent on all its allies, especially for a conflict that's halfway across the world. And the fact is that those allies are disappearing pretty fucking quickly. And then there's not a lot of people that are going to agree with this. And if you're just left with Israel, it's not a great scenario in terms of world politics to be left with a nation that really is intent on committing the same genocides it's suffered itself. So it's kind of one of those things where you've got to be incredibly careful. It makes I would much rather travel with a Portuguese a Portuguese passport than I would do with an American passport at the moment. I have to admit, it's not something that I'd like consider as
interesting. That's a good point. I mean, Eric, as an American, have you felt any hostility yourself as far as Americans are concerned in the war?
No, but I do think about it. But no, I have not. So
that's
it's definitely, it's something that, when I'm out about town, when I go here or there, it's like, see, being here where I am, right? I don't think people are thinking about this a whole lot. You know what I mean? I could be totally wrong, but that's just my view. If this country was a little closer to, we'll say closer to the action, then it might be different. But this country is so far from all of that, and like I said, nobody wants to attack Portugal, Joel. It's just not. So,
well, that's a good point. Let's have a Portuguese perspective. What's your thoughts, Joel? Where are you, as a Portuguese representative, how are you thinking?
Well, I think that one thing I thought that the first thing when the United States started attacking Iran, it was to help the revolt or the revolt, because they were the Iranian population was revolting against the dictatorship regime they were in. Now I don't see how effective the Americans' attacks are being in helping them trying to reach a democracy or a freedom state.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
I'm not seeing it. To be fair, I'm not seeing it. It will work. No. The thing is, if it was with diplomacy, it would take a longer. Now with aggression, and considering that one of the bombings that the Americans did wasn't the right target, may lead to the tipping of the scale of the Iranian population that was trying to revolt against the regime to probably revolt against the Americans themselves too. That won't help a lot. So there.
Can I just say really quickly, this is a bit boring, bit of a history one. The reason why the current regime is in at the moment is because of both the US, well, the CIA and the British, all right? So back in 1972, there was a democracy in Iran. They wanted to nationalize oil, which is a perfectly reasonable idea in terms of what they wanted to do. The British didn't want them to nationalize the oil, nor did the Americans, because they were pumping oil out and making huge profits. And they put the current regime in place. So if you were looking at it purely as an Iranian, just as someone that's like an everyday person on the street in Tehran, how are they going to view it? They've already been raped by pretty much by the West once. Now they're being bombed to fuck off out after being asked to protest where they've been slaughtered. It's not going to breed a situation where you've got anything but hostility towards the West. And I'm pretty glad that the West uniformly has rejected kind of the taking part in an Israeli and American kind of act of aggression. So I don't know. I think it's a really, really difficult situation.
The thing with history is that there's always the same example being repeated again. If you look at the consequences of the actions of external policies by the Americans and even the Russians' interference and everything, the result is either more corruption on those same countries where they acted upon than actual democracy working as intended for the primary reason where they were engaged in the first place. So where you look, for example, how the Portuguese colonies were how the Portuguese colonial wars worked. You have CIA and you have KGB operatives basically supplying weapons to terrorists or separatists, whatever you prefer. I prefer to call them terrorists because that's what it was. And you had two different groups. Let's talk about, I will mention Angola because that's the one I remember now. You have MPLA and you have UNITA. MPLA was supplied by Russia. UNITA was supplied by the United States, by CIA and KGB, respectively. What happened now is you go to Angola, where last year you saw images on the television for those that watched. You saw a military parade in Angola where all the military equipment being displayed for the view of the population and the former Portuguese president and the committee that was with him. You would see that all the military equipment that Angola had was Russian.
Mm-hmm.
No exceptions. Every single equipment they were using was Russian, from tanks to rocket launchers to missiles, whatever. Everything they were using was Russian.
But John,
the thing is, if I take the lead from example of how they acted on the colonies on subterfuge that both Americans and the Russians did, is that the colonies were treated like a toys, because what the ultimate gain was, okay, let's gain independence from those colonies and becoming countries again, and let's take advantage of the raw materials still available in those countries and try to make a profit out of it. That was the ultimate goal in everything. So you have, for example, the Ukrainian war, where Trump made negotiations with Zelensky in order to, this expenditure of U.S. military and funds, we all have to make an agreement, and it will be raw materials.
Mm-hmm.
Because if that deal goes forward, for example, if Ukraine keeps all of the territory and the war comes to an end, they will be one hand on the front, one hand on the back, naked, because they will not have enough resources or money to repay back everything, every loan, every military equipment that was given to them They will never be able to pay back.
That's why the rare earth deal was made, Joel, because they got nothing other than that. So
they're the biggest food supplier. They're really
But
crazy.
the thing is, the thing that Trump is forgetting is the area that Russia wants is the area where the profit is.
see, understand that Trump wasn't the only one involved in this. Okay, this started way before his time.
But the European Union, that will be lost. There will be money spent and lost. We will never get. European Union will never gain that money back, or the equipment.
Their money back, Joel. The United States is never going to get their money back, and they know it. So, anyway, let me run through a couple of comments. Simon says billions of dollars, and I get where Simon's coming from. Billions of dollars in bombs. While the public infrastructure collapses, all come from our taxes. And Simon still, he's boots on the ground back in the UK, and this is kind of his view on things. So I understand where he's coming from. Up to £1.80 per liter on diesel.
Wow.
Okay. And Nubnia chimes in. She says, Iran hasn't even used its heaviest defense yet. Okay, that could definitely be true, and I think we're going to find out. Squire filled our tank up. Going to be some 5-gallon drums for backup. You can see it unfolding, and that's a good policy on your part. Get some drums. I don't know how much you use, but. There's going to be a short-term pain in your fuel.
If people store up petrol here, especially for fire season, I can see that being it's not great having loads and loads of petrol stored. Is all I can say. Is you do have to be pretty fucking careful.
Simon says Netanyahu is the devil incarnate, and Simon's very active tonight. Good on him. Iran's trying to move the front line to the other side of the Iraqi border. That could be. That get really interesting. It would be a grave disaster, catastrophe, if an oil tanker sank in the West. The ecology of the area is going to suffer.
Yeah. But now this is the question, right? With all its supremacy and its power and its technological might, surely the U.S. Navy could escort convoys through without anybody getting damaged. I mean, if you can look after a fleet of ships, that's what you do when you send an armada somewhere. You have a tactical structure that protects the fleet. Can they not do the same with the oil tankers?
Well, I think that's a thing that's up for I don't want to say debate, but I think they're considering doing it.
But Garvo, I think the things wars changed. What they were conventionally defending against weren't small drones, and I'm not talking about just flying drones. We're talking about boat drones, which are pretty easy to make. I mean, you know how powerful little remote control boats can be these days, and what you can pack them with. And the fact is, anyone could make one, and anyone can set one off at any time. And you've got an infrastructure which has been preparing for this for decades. They've been making drones for decades. They're way ahead in terms of drone technology than certainly the Americans and the conventional West are. And it's a different way of fighting, just the same as when I was in Vietnam, that you could see how guerrilla tactics completely destroyed what conventional warfare was. It's the same again. If you look now, the people that are in most demand are drone flyers. If you've been off in your bedroom, just doing something like that, it's.
I mean, the Shahed drone, I think it travels about 120 miles an hour. Yeah. Well, your average machine gun on a naval ship could pick one of those off quite easily. The Gatling guns, it wouldn't be a problem. And the same for your little boats that are going along in the water.
They haven't been, though. And that's the thing. You look at the Russian Navy, for example, who had similar technology. I mean, probably not as good, definitely, but they had similar technology. And most of their Navy was destroyed by small unmanned boats that went along and sunk it. And the fact is, if you've just got the sheer volume of missiles and drones that the Iranians have, getting 1 or 2 through, and that's all you need to stop the insurance from working, is I think impossible for anyone to conventionally defend against. I think it's really difficult.
The West or the developed countries or whatever, us, we should worry about is not with Middle East or Saudi Arabia or Russia. Yeah, I would be more concerned about the Chinese.
Yep, they're just laying in the woods. Well, let me get to a couple of Nubia comments because it's very she's topical in answering some of the comments that have been made here. So I want to give her fair play. She says this isn't a distraction from the Epstein files. This is what it's about. They need to expand before the U.S. president dies. Younger people can easily be caught in the pedo web of obligation. She also says this is bipartisan, right? So it's not a Republican, it's not a Democrat thing, it's an overall American government thing. Dems are all part of this. Most are owned by the same people, which is true. The far religious want to end the world to hang with Jesus. So I don't know if I go that far, but she's spot on where each party or each ruling party in the states is equally involved in this whole thing. So there's no separating.
When it's all been done by executive order and Congress haven't had a chance to vote on it at any stage, I don't think you can claim that, to be honest. I think that's very poor if you're saying, oh yeah,
what haven't they had the opportunity? I'm not disputing what you're saying. I'm just trying to get to what you're referring to. You know what I mean? So go ahead. You say executive order.
I'm saying that these have been committed by executive order, which they have, and Congress hasn't had a chance to vote on it, which they should have done. Under constitutional law, you really should. It should be Congress that's voting on wars. Is essentially what you're meant to do.
On the war part.
Yeah,
but see, you have to understand also that there's a lot of precedent that's been set that, and there's different statutes that can be targeted to try and do things. So to carry the point forward, the Senate and the Congress had the opportunity to go against the actions that were taken and to rescind the approval for future actions to be taken in this case, and they did not. They just let it stand where it is. So under the current situation, the commander-in-chief has the ability in this particular situation to do what he wants to do. They had the ability to stop it. They did not. So
no, I don't know. I mean, I think I
don't. No, Pete, that is absolutely true. Honestly, it's true. So because this happened in the last couple of weeks, that they brought all kinds of bills, to both the Senate and the House, and they were like, okay, we have the opportunity to stop this now. They chose not to. So honestly,
I think the confusion here is because we don't really understand how American politics works. You have your representatives, and you have several layers of things going on. And when I saw the results of the vote that you're talking about, I think it was basically close. It was close, but
it was again, it was up to party lines for sure.
Yeah, and that's because there are more.
Right. But being that the Republicans right now have the majority in both the House and the Senate, it passes through the way it is. Yeah. But it was pretty much right on party line. So
I think a couple crossed over from each side to
but overall,
you would have thought if there was a strong feeling against it, then it would have been shown there,
right?
Which it didn't.
Right. Exactly.
I think it'll be shown in the midterms, though. I think ultimately you'll see in the next election what the
midterms, the Republicans are going to lose. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
Oh, I guarantee it. No, that's not even up for debate. So.
Yeah, what's midterms? What does that actually mean to
Gary,
in November? November, there's a bunch of elections that take place.
So as a senator, you're in for 6 years, 2 years as a House of Rep, and 4
Right.
years as the president, right? So so each executive has so you've got election every 2 years essentially if you're constantly campaigning if you're a member of the House of Reps, right? So anything that affects you temporarily, especially the price rises that Americans are seeing at the moment, is going to be a massive impact. But Trump's ratings and his support overall is massively down, particularly amongst his own constituents. So particularly amongst MAGA supporters, because of the fact that they're actually seeing the opposite of what he promised. He promised peace. He promised lower prices. All those things.
It all comes down to your pocket, right? People vote with their pocket, their wallet. So, and that's really, this is not going to improve in the next few months, guaranteed. So that's going to be, that's going to be the end of the majority for the Republicans in the House, at least. So, he's definitely lost that. So,
going back to the central point of what we're talking about here, right? Is this is my own view of how it's progressed, right? The October the 7th incident when Israel was basically invaded by outside extraneous forces.
Mm-hmm.
That was a tipping point for me, because everything after that point, it's almost like the Israelis said, right, we've fucking had enough of this. We're going to take it to the source. We're going to annihilate that to take that threat out. So they took Hamas out, or now they've gone after Hezbollah, which they've largely pretty much dismantled. And now they're thinking, well, who's behind it? Who's supplying them with all this stuff? So Iran is the natural target to go after, because they are the flying ointment really in the Middle East. And with what we know about the drones and the missiles that they've made, they've got to have done that for a reason. There must have been a reason for that. It's not just defensive capabilities.
But Gary, they were supplying the Russians, because the Russians had
and likewise, but they've still supplying their proxies in the Middle East. And the Israelis have done the same thing again. Well, we've had success there. So let's go after the Iranians now. Now, Mr. Trump, with his glorious victory in the Venezuela, thought probably it's going to be the same sort of deal here. We can go in there, overwhelming force, and the whole lot's going to collapse. But it's a very, very different situation. Very, very different. And I don't know how you're going to get out of this one. Because there's no planning. It's just like, just overwhelming force, and the whole lot's going to collapse, and the population's going to rise up.
It's all about what the end game is going to be, and I think a lot of people are asking that question right now. So, I don't know.
Iran, they've always known Iran's got way more missiles than them in terms of their capability, and what Iran was doing was just testing things out with a few. As Newbienet said before, they've held back in terms of what they've fired so far, and they've always known they were massively outnumbered, and America's incredibly reliant on allies for air bases, for refueling, for all sorts of things. Very, very difficult. It's going to be very difficult after this war for anyone to want an American base anywhere near them. It's going to change.
But the flip side of that coin, Pete, is if they want America's help in defending their territory.
Not anymore. I can't see anyone.
Well, then you're going to get.
As a Q8,
then you're going to get what you're going to get.
We are so dependent on American defense systems.
Yeah, you guys can't defend yourselves. There's no way.
It's true.
I think we can, though. I think
we are dependent on American.
Let me just say, right?
We are dependent on American.
You can. So.
Am I right? In my right to presume that the nuclear system that Britain has got is an American system, isn't it? It's basically American systems.
Yeah, the thing is, American military lobbyists or sellers like Lockheed or whatever, they lobby so much into sell their own products because they always want to go for the ultimate goal, which is profit. The thing, for example, I will give you the Portuguese example. The Portuguese Air Force was considering to buy the F-35s. But the thing is, due to how American politics work, we cannot rely on having F-35s and supply surplus equipment to maintain those same airplanes in the air if a president decides to no longer rely on the Portuguese, for example.
Yeah.
And all the equipment that we have will be basically gathering dust. So the solution for the Portuguese military or Air Force by the Ministry of Defense was, okay, we have to look elsewhere for alternatives. Let's go look into Europe. Although the F-35s are 5th gen airplanes, Portugal is actually considering the offer from Saab in buying the Gripen. That is a better alternative, although we are still reliable on American supply because the Gripen uses American engines for their planes. But the dependence of the Americans in order to maintain the Portuguese Air Force running would be less of a burden, considering if we, for example, went for the option of buying the F-35s.
Why does Portugal need F-35s? That's my question.
We need to upgrade. We need to replace the F-16s that were already bought second-hand, which are already used. So basically, the planes that the Portuguese Air Force has were planes that were built in 1972, and they've been maintained and used Portuguese technology and software in order to maintain up to date.
And when did they use these, Joel?
Yeah, but when have you last used in action?
Yep. The F-16s are still in use for the Portuguese Air Force.
An F-35 costs a lot of money, doesn't it? Let's be honest. It costs a fucking shitload of money. Do you really need them?
Yeah.
So the supremacy of the Portuguese Air Force were 32 F-16s. Of those 32 F-16s, we sold 10 to Poland.
There you go.
But what I'd say is that warfare's changed.
And we still have at least I think it was other 10 F-16s disassembled for use to parts. So in total, all the planes that Portugal had was 42, and even so, we sold 10 to Poland, and I think that we sold also 5 of them assembled in Portugal, and to Argentina, if I'm not mistaken.
You did what?
Perfect.
So now our option is either we go for the most expensive option, which is the F-35, and we are dependent on the United States in order to maintain those planes, or we go to Saab, which is a cheaper option and costs less to maintain and put those planes on the air, and not being a 5 gen airplane and a 4.5 airplane. And
when you want to sell those planes to somebody else, whose planes are they going to buy?
Just flog them, because ultimately, now you could buy a whole fucking fleet of drones. You look at what the Ukrainians did. They got normal, regular looking trucks, drove them up to Russian military bases, and released hundreds of drones out of them, which basically destroyed their entire fucking.
The funny thing about that is, guess who is producing those drones that Ukraine is using? Portugal.
Well, loads of people are, but I think that technology and the way warfare's changed, unfortunately, has made a lot of those planes obsolete. If a fleet of drones against an aircraft, unfortunately, an aircraft's got a limited number of missiles. It's not financially viable.
That's why the first drone carrier in Europe will be the Portuguese that is already being built.
Well, I think
Right,
that's
right.
the things going forward. I just think the thing is now, think how much
Well,
money you as an arms
There's a thing. There's no plan of Zelensky for any piloted, either be tank, ship, or plane. There will always be some sort of man direct use of military equipment. The drone warfare is a modern thing, yeah, for sure. It can be overwhelming, yes, for sure. But the thing is, you will still see soldiers on the ground. You will still see tanks. You will still see ships, and you will still see planes, all hand worked by men.
not forever. I think it's the way of the donkey and the ass, to be honest, and the horse.
There will always be a necessity to maintain. Look, you have the example. Wait, you mentioned the example of the Vietnam War. The Americans lost the Vietnam War because of the guerrilla tactics that the Vietnamese used.
Right.
The Vietnamese were outnumbered, outgunned, out-armed in every single aspect, and still won.
Yeah, but at
Not
the
Same thing happens in
same time, I was there this time last
Afghanistan.
year.
When you're not familiar with the territory, you're not going to win.
But it's
So-
also at the same time they also beat the French, they beat the Russians, they beat the Chinese, and they beat the Americans. And the Americans dropped. I think it was when I was in the museum in Saigon last year. They dropped 100 times more bombs on Vietnam than they did during the whole of World War II. Yeah. The fact is, you can still dominate from the air, but you're never going to change people's feelings about their country by
That's
bombing.
why I'm saying it is a extra equipment, the drone capability being offered to the military. It's always been an option since the first drone started to fly. The thing is, it is an extra. You cannot. The thing with military is you cannot depend or rely totally your defense or attack based upon drones, because
Well, you
if
can.
you build wait, let me finish, Pete. If a small country builds enough the grid of defense against drones or radio frequency jammings or whatever, guess what? Drones will be ineffective, independently if they are on the air, land, or sea. If you create a barrier stronger enough to jam the radio frequencies used in drones, guess what? They will be ineffective. That's why I'm. That's why I'm. Come on, shut up. Shut up, Pete. Shut up. I'll be finished. That's why I keep telling you. That's why I keep telling. There will always be operatives on the ground, driving military tanks, driving or flying planes, or navigating ships. They'll always be required to have human direct intervention in acts of war. You cannot depend on the new technology just because they are drones, just because they are remote, that it will be 100% effective, because they won't.
What I'm saying,
I got another point that Simon's bringing up. He says we could always renew the relationship with Russians for stable oil gas prices, maybe build another Nord Stream, or we can rely on Miliband's windmills. So I got two British guys that are on here. How do you feel about your former, well, you're still passport holders of the country, but the former place that you lived in, would you want to rebuild the relationship with the Russians to supply your energy?
There's already enough of a relationship anyway, Eric. Honestly, we've had so many Russian spies in the government. We had a Russian lord who that basically built. Well, we gave them a lordship, and that they've been controlling lots of policy in the UK for ages. Boris Johnson, where it was kind of massively in with the Russians. Putin's had a hand in. Putin was able to kill people on British territory. Not just once, not twice, not 3 times. He's killed multiple people on British territory with no repercussion whatsoever. Okay. It's not like we're not already controlled by the Russians to an extent. What I think is more interesting is that you're alluding, Eric, to the use perhaps of nuclear force. If you use nuclear force, you tell me how you stop Qatar, Saudi Arabia, all of the big oil producing nations that are allied to the West demanding nuclear deterrence, because they'll be asking for exactly the same. So what you'll end up with is massive proliferation, making the world an awful lot more dangerous than it already is. So I think the fact is that military strategists at the moment must be going bonkers about what Trump's done, because they knew already before the war started, they knew this wasn't something that was winnable. So how the hell they let him get away with going into it, I think it's tricky.
No, but that's why I asked, do you think Israel actually pulled him into it, or do you think he pulled them into it? You know what I mean?
It's got a lot of dirt on Trump, and I think both vice versa, but both of them were, I think, both of them definitely were very implemented.
Well, I think Epstein probably worked for. He may have been a dual agent for Mossad or the Russians, because he kind of threw a web out there with a lot of powerful people in it, without ever coming to really public notice. And now all these files come out, real top people. And I think.
Have you read that the book by by Dufresne, or not? Because she implicates Netanyahu is meant to be the worst sadistic shit when it came to kind of sex. When she was being raped by him, she said it was the very worst, the closest she came to being killed. Right. So, and the implications were that him and Trump were both guilty of killing under 16s. They were both guilty of murdering them. I think there's an awful lot. I think Netanyahu has a lot over Trump. I don't think there would be. I mean, obviously, we know the Jewish lobby is still important, but
I think it's more than Trump, and it's more than Netanyahu. It's global. It's there's a lot of leaders implicated in this. But to go back to your point, Eric, you asked the question about Russian oil, gas supplies. Right?
Yeah.
It's not just Britain that became dependent on Russian gas and oil. It's the whole of Europe, because it was cheap.
No, but that was the question that was sort of posed by Simon. So I was just kind of carrying it forward.
And I think that would be a horrible mistake, to be honest, because you, like everything else, you're at the mercy of a tyrant, and he can turn the tap off or on at any given moment. You've got to be self-sufficient, whether through nuclear energy or it's through solar or wind power. Right?
Yeah, I agree with you. Portugal should build, for example, 1 or 2 nuclear reactors in order to maintain energy to everybody.
Well, I think until that, it's done very well on renewables. Portugal is amazingly that there's been quite a few periods where Portugal's been during the summer. Portugal is
there's an ultimate flaw on renewables, like, for example, wind and solar. They both can be destroyed rather easily with storms.
Not mine, mate, honestly. I don't know. No, honestly, even with the wind panels, they do run out. What was stupid, and my friend has been working on for ages, the mayor's son, who came and helped me with the hot tub. He was saying that initially all of those wind turbine companies gave guarantees on the equipment, lifetime guarantees. As a result, all of them went bust, right? Because everyone was asking for the new parts. They eventually kind of dissolved. No surprise there. It is most.
Don't forget one thing. For example, when you are talking about those great fans that are collecting wind, those blades are not recyclable.
Yeah. Well, they are, because they're being recycled in different places.
They are. They are
legally recycled.
You have examples in Germany where they removed the blades to put new blades in, and they buried the blades on the spot where those towers are, because they cannot recycle those materials.
So honestly, I know a lot of people. Well, this guy's been working in it for 20 years, and every time he disassembles any wind turbine, there's a guy there who buys all the equipment and sets it up in Eastern Europe, right? So they're constantly recycling. You'd be surprised at how much stuff is recycled. You probably
like the Portuguese selling claims to Poland. So,
Exactly. So there's always someone that will buy something. And with those wind turbines, it's more about the fact that,
Yeah,
they're
well,
dangerous.
that is not recycling. For what when I mean recycling is tearing down all the finished product back into raw material and rebuild something new.
But you don't have to do that. You can just use it, but with less
Yeah.
safely. Which
Joel,
is what,
Joel, you still ride a petrol car, so don't be worried about your recycle use.
Oh, mine works on gas. I'm not worried whatsoever with the price of increasing gasoline.
So now Simon brings up another point, which is now in the news. Cuba is more than likely on the radar too to be realigned and reconstituted. So that will end up becoming another United States territory.
Well, there's
before long.
it's always been a kind of painful sore on the US sort of radar, really.
well,
Isn't it?
so far, isn't it, really? I must admit, I mean, the Cubans are have you been to Cuba, Eric, or not? It's an
I have
interesting.
not. No. Have
worth
you?
going. Yeah, I've been a couple of times, and it's really worth going. It's a really interesting place to go. Obviously, you think Guantanamo is on Cuba, right? It's still on mainland Cuba.
No,
So
I don't.
you've got kind of a big juxtaposition, but it's a really fascinating place to go. I would definitely recommend it. It's worth seeing.
No, I've heard a lot of comments similar to what you just said. So yeah. But
just don't.
you also understand that we weren't allowed to travel there for a very long time. So
Well, I got banned from going to the States after I've been to Cuba. So they.
there you go.
So yes, I do know. I remember turning up at LAX and being told to fuck off. So
Bar says U.S. is apparently sending ground troops to Iran now. Good luck, and I agree with that because that's horrible.
It's not gonna happen.
that is really bad news. Yeah, I don't think.
Our Numinet says our top is completely unreliable. They're trying to figure out how not to rely on it. Okay, can somebody help me out with that? Because
I'm not be a spelling mistake there.
there's some terminology in there that I'm not
No,
picking
I
up
don't
on. So no.
Unless you mean
She'll re-clarify because she's locked in tonight. Drones and fiber optic projectiles have proven themselves on the battlefield. $200 a throw for a drone, far more bang for your buck. That's what Simon says. So
I don't know quite. They have got some cool ones. Honestly, Garvo, my mates have just got this mower right delivered to them that is like a mini tank. You could attach a machine gun to that. You'd have no problems wiping the whole load.
There's so many other things going on now. You know, like AI, robotic soldiers, and bloody transport. Where does it end, man? I mean,
well, you've seen like your delivery drones now that can go upstairs and stuff like that. I saw there's some brilliant clips of delivery drones basically being suicidal and stopping on railway tracks and stuff. But there is enough technology there's enough technology now where the Ukrainians have shown it. I think they've been kind of world leaders in warfare. You look at a conventional. Take it. One for Samana, mate, definitely. You look at a conventional army and look at the Russians. Do you remember those first 2 days of the war when they were all lined up on the main road there, and then they ran out of fuel and basically got thumped? Right. I think it's kind of the era that we lived in. Thankfully, we lived through a long Cold War where not a lot of fighting actually took place, right? But those weapons have been proved completely incapable of fighting on a modern day battlefield. Whereas drone technology and the technology, think how many drones you can buy for one of those F-16s that Joel was on about, and how much damage you can do with it and how you can hide it. Ultimately, you might be able to find out where they're making even the Shahed drones or whatever, but you can make a fucking drone in your basement. Do you know what I mean? Look at the way the Ukrainians have fought. It's the whole idea of warfare has changed, and
really they're all disposable, right? Right,
yeah,
Pete? It's a kamikaze drone. It's on one mission. It does its thing. It's gone, and we're good with that. Like a plane, an F-16, F-35. We're not sending it out for one mission. It's got to come back and do another and do another and do another.
A drone is capable of destroying an F-16 or destroying a.
No. I totally agree. I'm just saying from an expense standpoint and all of that, a drone is far more like efficient, maybe from
Yeah,
that standpoint. You know
And
what
what
I'm saying?
the technology, I've been watching the robotics shows. Jamie's in Shenzhen at the moment, right? And he showed me a couple of clips from what they've got at the moment. It is nuts, honestly, how much and how cheap the modern drones are and how quickly they'll be able to transform what will be a battlefield. I don't think
Yeah.
there'll be many people left on a battlefield pretty soon, to be honest, because why are you going to spend that much money? You know how much, Eric, it costs to train someone in the army, how much it costs to keep
Yeah,
them
for sure.
to do all of those things, when you can replace it with something that works constantly. My fucking robot pool cleaner, I love it to bits, never moans, constantly works, no problems with it whatsoever, right? And
It's out there learning, though. It's learning. It's intelligent. It's thinking to itself.
it's still fucking stupid. I still have to realign it occasionally, but it's still
You send Pete out there with the thing, and he's like pitching up a storm from the second he goes out there.
There was Ben was telling me, because he's into all these weapons and stuff, you know, technologies and stuff, and you know, these robot soldier drones that they have totally, you know, massacred theoretically, you know, in combat with normal soldiers. But one bright spark soldier put a cardboard box over himself and was managed to get up to the robot and didn't recognize him because it wasn't a soldier. It was just a cardboard box, so he ignored it. So like you say, there's always little bits and pieces.
Gary, they've worked out technology now that checks the gait of the soldiers. So the way a Russian soldier walks is different to the way a Ukrainian soldier walks. And the drones are trained, they're trained to recognize the walking pattern and attack. So you've got technologies now that you never had before. I hate to say it, that's a company I've invested in quite heavily, but the software they make is phenomenal. It's amazing that they can identify your nationality, your race through just the way you walk, you know. So, and what they found is what tended to happen. The Ukrainians were saying that the drone operators found that as soon as they dropped anything near the Russian troops, they ran right back to their base. So they always knew where to bomb, because as soon as they scared them a little bit, they go back
to the source. Yeah, there you go.
It's going like this, isn't it? Yeah.
Exactly.
It's over here.
So in a weird way, I think troops are going to become less and less effective. No drone is going to run back to its base because it's afraid, because it doesn't have fear. So it's not going to be a warfare. As much as Joel would love to say, you know, oh, we're going to still have ground troops all the time, it doesn't make any sense. It's the same as, think about space. When was the last time we sent anyone to the moon or sent anyone anywhere else?
A couple of weeks' time, I think, apparently.
Oh, have we got a new moon landing then?
We're not a landing. They're going to go around. They're going to try it. They're going to run the back, the dark side of the moon, and slingshot back again in preparation for the next mission where they're going to go back to the moon.
Oh, I like that Mars one. I love the fact Brian Blessed had already signed himself up to going off to Mars, and it's a one-way mission. I love all that kind of romance of it. It's fab. But I don't think that we're going to see conventional troops, the way that we've ever seen them before. I think they're becoming, even Afghanistan. You looked at how vulnerable troops were to incredibly cheap roadside bombs. You know, it's still one of those things where there are going to be fewer and fewer troops, because ultimately drones are more efficient and they don't have families or loved ones or whatever else to consider when they're taking risks. So
and then again, Afghanistan is one of those places like Vietnam. You're never going to win there. It's the graveyard of armies. You know,
that's what I tried to say earlier. When you don't know your territory, you're going to lose. So, you know.
Well, it's impossible territory to defend. I've been to Afghanistan a couple of times, and it is it's a bugger of a place, because you're always on a hillside. It's a bit like trying to invade Lisbon or something. You're always up a fucking hill. It's like no.
So Nubianet, crazy. I was watching a battle demonstration with drones in France last July, and she says her nephew is a tank commander. So good on him.
No, I think your nephew needs to get a new job fairly soon. No way being the tank.
You know, Alicia, the guy you did the interview with for the tractor parade.
Yeah.
So him and his family, they've got problems at the moment because they can't get Israeli passports, because they should, in theory, all three of the lads should be in military service.
Yeah.
And the first job you get, where do you think the first job you get if you're entering the army now? What is the shittest job to have?
Well, I would think infantry's pretty shit, but I'm trying to think of something shitter than that, unless like you go in a tank or something. I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah, you get put in a tank because look at what happened. Do you remember all those videos of the fucking Ukrainian drones just dropping into the fucking porthole of the tank? They're just dropping grenades in. It's just fucking nuts.
I think I remember in my day working with the military. If we'd had a conflict with the Russians, the average life expectancy of tank crew would be about 5.5 minutes.
It is just the worst. Tanks are the worst ever. I mean, they had the biggest ever tank battle was the Sino-Russian War in 1905. And it was just a disaster. They all got stuck. They all kind of like, you're sitting in a box target, basically waiting to be exploded.
The slowest moving thing you can find on the planet.
Yeah. It's just awful. I'm so glad they're here. I'll tell you honestly. The one thing I'm really happy about is how many Israeli mates of mine I know would have been out fighting now, or Ukrainians. There's all sorts of races that I think are, we'll probably see an influx of people though. All over Southeast Asia, I saw Russians that were avoiding the war. I can imagine that there'll be a few Iranians joining them and other sorts of people that will be going off. So no, it's bad. Goodness me. Go on, Eric, go ahead.
I'll give Simon the last word. He says they'll probably find the dark side of the moon is kind of so we'll leave it like that. We've farly surpassed 2 hours tonight, and I wasn't sure we were going to be able to do that from the get-go, but yeah, we did. We had a little spirited conversation, and we covered a lot of territory for sure. We had a lot of audience participation, we'll say, and I appreciate that for sure. So I think it was a good night. Would you guys agree?
Well,
I think it's a conversation that needed to be sort of brought out. Really, it's a mess. Whichever way we look at it, I think we agree.
Oh, it's definitely a mess, and I don't think there's what the term we used earlier, end game. I'm not sure what the end game is. So
yeah,
it's I truly don't. So yeah, we'll see what the end game is going to be as the weeks go on, and hopefully it's not a lot of weeks, but it's going to be a few weeks for sure. So any final thoughts from you guys? And I appreciate your participation tonight was phenomenal.
Well, I say that moment with the hot tub, my hot tub hijinks, was one of the happiest moments I've had in Portugal. The fact that I could call up and something that I thought was totally impossible was achieved just by a couple of. But I've done a few bits of work at the bar and I've helped out a few bits locally. And the fact that the family sent people over within half an hour, and we got something that I never thought I would see, sort of like in one piece. Back at the house, just showed me what a lovely community I live in, and that I can rely on everyone out here. If I was asking for that in London, not only would it be impossible for people to come along and fucking help, because the transport would mean that they'd all be at least 3 hours just on the fucking road, but I don't think I could rely on them either, and none of them would have a fucking massive tractor. So it's obviously much better living here. So for me, I really loved, and going off, Eric, meeting kind of Lee's, seeing Lee's like Eve's nursery and going to the sort of the restaurants you go to. Because you've got that same community feel. I always think people write all this shit about Lisbon's dangerous or whatever else. You think about, if you go into any cafe at 5 o'clock on a Friday, you'll meet loads of lovely people who are really nice. The only thing that I thought was that made me think that I'd made the right decision was how many people were queuing up for the lottery. I've never seen that long line. So we got there, and that was like fucking 12 people deep to get lottery tickets. It's fucking a bit much for me, but I don't know.
But that's a good topic for another show, because that's actually a big problem here for sure.
Yeah,
so
I totally agree with that. Yeah, definitely. Well, everywhere as well. Have you seen really interesting, Eric? Have you seen Louis Theroux's latest documentary on the manosphere? It's very interesting. Well, what you were talking about with gambling being such a big problem, gambling is a huge problem, and particularly amongst men up to the age of 25, right? So up in that bit. And I think lotteries have kind of made gambling far more acceptable than it was when we were growing up.
Agreed.
But it's all of these kind of influences have all been through terrible childhoods, have taken that out in kind of being misogynist or anti-Semitic or, you know, on everyone else. And yet the number of views they have and the influence that they have over the generation that's growing up just makes me glad I'm old, so I'm not going to face the consequences of it later on. It's quite it's nuts. Sorry about that. Anyway.
Well said, Pete. Thank you. Garvo, any final thoughts from you?
Yeah, this is one I was going to bring up earlier, but I'll never get to ask this question. But baked potatoes, yeah? I like a baked potato. I really enjoy a baked potato. Yerrick, you like a baked potato?
I do.
But why don't Portuguese eat baked potatoes? Because I don't think I've ever seen one here.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't think
I'm gonna have to find that on one of the next episode. Why don't Portuguese eat baked potatoes? Because they like potatoes. They eat a lot of potatoes. But why are there no baked potatoes?
Oh,
do you eat the skin or you don't eat the skin? Do you eat the skin or not?
Oh yeah. I do the skin.
Okay. Yeah, but then
for sure.
The worst time is expecting chips and getting a fucking packet of ready salted. That is the worst time.
Literally crisps.
It is just awful. It's absolutely terrible. That.
It's a bit of a letdown. So final thoughts. A great conversation. I mean, obviously, we always have big differences in politics or whatever, but we agree that it's just a fucking big mess, and we don't know how to get out of it. And you know, that's kind of a comforting place for us all to be at the same time in a weird sort of way. So I'm with you guys. You know, it's I don't know. It's a strange old. But just glad we're in Portugal. Nobody wants to invade us as yet.
No. And that I try to bring that point forward a couple of times because
I think you're right. Yeah.
This is probably the safest country in Europe that there is. So, you know, it is what it is.
Well, you wouldn't want to be in Italy or Crete or Cyprus, would you really? So
no.
That's kind of like that's it before anything.
No, so. Sure. Yeah. Because like Garvo knows, we have people that we know that were in Cyprus on holiday and they were stranded there for a while.
Went there for a bit of a holiday and a bit of a chill out.
Yeah. After blowing the bloody hell, man! They've had such bad luck, haven't they? Jesus Christ!
Yeah, the roof blown off. Yeah, Pete knows who they are. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's right. Well, I've been on Wine Club with you with them, all of it.
Yeah, right.
But you think about Gary. I thought you had the worst, but you can always look at them. It's like Jeremy Kyle. You can say, at least I didn't end up in Cyprus after me roof off.
So I thought, right, I'm going away. I'm having a nice rest. I'm going to spend a lot of money and we'll chill out. I go to Cyprus, and what fucking happened?
Well, they could have gone to Tehran or Dubai, though, couldn't they? So it could have been.
That's a strange thing because I was talking to Linda about places you could go on holiday just to get away from it and chill out. I thought, well, this before it happened. But Dubai, that's always sunny and it's not. And then there's Egypt, and then there's Turkey, and they've all fucking been bombed and set about. So,
I had to give my mate a lift to the airport the other day, and he was originally going through Qatar. He's off to India to do. Phil, you met him, the drummer. Yeah, he's off to do a few gigs in India, and it's just for Chris. I can imagine it being a nightmare, but it's really difficult to figure out what to book. It's funny how I'm now looking at going. If I was going to go off to Asia, I'm looking at going via fucking Finland. It's like a strange affair, to be honest.
All the way around.
Take the long way around.
Yeah, exactly. It is a weird one. But what's really also odd is that only 10% of Europe's oil comes from through the Straits of Hormuz, and yet look at the price gouging that everybody's fucking doing, and it's Asia that's the most affected. I think something like 80% of Southeast Asia's oil runs through the Straits of Hormuz. So it's going to be
the Chinese have a lot of oil come through there, so maybe they have an influence somewhere along the line to bring.
Well, they took a lot of Iran supply, didn't they? They were taking while sanctions were invoked. They used to take a lot of Iran's, but I think China's got other suppliers where it's okay. It's the rest of the countries like Vietnam, Thailand. They've encouraged everyone to work from home because they've got such a shortage of gas. Yeah, so a lot of those Asian countries that you would think, well, we actually rely on quite a few things. I'd be surprised if you haven't got both of you haven't got garments made in Vietnam. I'd be surprised if there weren't, like, you know, there's a whole load of stuff that comes through that you don't realise that suddenly, because petrol prices are going to be so expensive, are going to be unaffordable, or you're going to be having to source them from somewhere else. So
I might have my Vietcong pants on. I'm not quite sure.
I definitely have.
So just to clean up a comment for NewbieNet, her nephew he's a commander. He told me he's not in a tank. I mean, he's just trying to make me feel better. So she's not sure. It's the French military. All the tanks in France have been American since World War I. So there you go. So anyway, with that comment being said, once again, I want to thank you guys and the rest of the audience for their participation tonight, which was quite consistent and quite involved. I will say next week, I will not be hosting the Man Cave, as I will be heading back to the States on Thursday. And I know where I'm going to be on Friday that I will not have the capacity to run the show. So stand by, you guys in the audience, stand by, because somebody else will fill this seat for sure. And I will check in as I can. But yeah, I'll be away for a couple of weeks, but next week I think is going to be the point that I know that it's not going to work for me. So, but anyway, we'll go from there. And I'll put the banner up just in case somebody wants to join the short after cave that we may have. There's that. And let me see. Oh, NewbieNet, have a good trip. Thank you very much. I will do so. So with that being said, I will bid everybody adieu, and I will end the stream right now, and we will go to the after cave. How is that? And as Gary would say,